Nobody is coming to save you. Not the version of you that's been waiting, not the people who said they would, not time itself. The rescue you've been praying for, it was never on the way. And somewhere deep down, you already know this. You feel it in the silence after everyone leaves the room. You feel it at 2 a.m. when the noise finally stops and it's just you, the ceiling, and the weight of another day that didn't change anything. You've been surviving. Just surviving. Waking up, performing, eating, scrolling, sleeping, repeat, repeat, repeat. And the worst part isn't the pain. The worst part is the numbness. The slow, quiet erosion of someone who used to dream. Someone who used to believe. You tell yourself you're fine. You tell yourself things will turn around. You tell yourself one day somehow something will shift, a break, a sign, a person, an opportunity. You've been telling yourself this for months, maybe years, maybe longer than you'd ever admit out loud. But the calendar keeps turning and the rescue never comes. So let me ask you something, and I want you to answer it honestly, just to yourself. How much longer are you willing to wait for a life that was never going to find you on its own? Here's what nobody told you, and it's going to sting before it sets you free. The thing you've been calling patience, it isn't patience. The thing you've been calling timing, it isn't timing. The thing you've been calling waiting for the right moment, it's fear wearing a costume. You think you're being wise. You're being paralyzed. You think you're being strategic. You're being scared. You think you're surviving. You're slowly disappearing. There's a difference between living and surviving, and almost nobody talks about it. Surviving is when your only goal is to make it through the day. Living is when you're building something the day can't take from you. Surviving is reactive. Living is intentional. Surviving asks, what do I have to do? Living asks, who do I want to become? And the cruelest trick your mind has played on you is convincing you that surviving is the same as not failing. It isn't. Surviving is the slowest form of failure there is, because you don't notice it happening. You just look up one day and realize a decade went by, and you're still in the same chair, telling yourself the same story, waiting for the same rescue. The truth is brutal, but simple. Nobody is coming because nobody can. Not because they don't love you. Not because the world is cruel. But because the door you need to walk through, only you have the key. And no amount of love, support, or good intention from another human being will turn that key for you. They can stand outside and knock. They can shout encouragement. They can pray, but the lock is on the inside. Now here's what I need you to understand. This isn't bad news. This is the best news you'll ever hear. Because if nobody is coming to save you, that means nobody is needed. That means the power you've been outsourcing your whole life was always yours to begin with. You were waiting for permission. You don't need permission. You were waiting for proof. You don't need proof. You were waiting to feel ready. You will never feel ready. The savior you've been waiting for is the one looking back at you in the mirror at 2 a.m., tired, disappointed, but still here, still breathing, still capable of the one thing that changes everything, a decision. Let me tell you something about the human spirit that the self-help industry loves to soften. Transformation is not a soft thing. It is not gentle. It is not a sunrise on Instagram. It is a war. A quiet, brutal internal war that nobody else will ever see you fight. And most people lose it, not because they aren't strong enough, but because they keep waiting for someone else to fight it for them. Think about that for a moment. There is an ancient image that has haunted humanity for thousands of years. A man alone in a dark cave. Outside, a storm is raging. Inside, only silence. He has two choices: stay in the cave, where it is safe and familiar and slowly suffocating, or step into the storm where everything is unknown, uncertain, alive. That cave is your comfort zone. That storm is your becoming. And every single day you stand at the mouth of that cave and choose. You just don't realize you're choosing. Most people die in the cave, not literally, but spiritually, emotionally. They die long before their bodies catch up to the funeral. They become walking museums of who they used to be, preserved, displayed, but no longer alive. There's a second image I want you to hold in your mind. Picture a seed buried in the dirt, dark, pressed down, crushed by the weight of the earth above it. From the seed's perspective, this is the end. This is being buried alive. This is suffocation. But the seed doesn't know what it actually is. The seed thinks it's been buried. In reality, it's been planted. That's where you are right now. You think you're being buried, you're being planted. The pressure you feel isn't the world ending. It's the soil pressing down so hard that the only way left to go is up. But the seed has to do something the seed doesn't want to do. It has to break. It has to crack open. It has to let the part of itself that felt safe and whole and intact fall apart. Because nothing grows without breaking first. That ache in your chest, that's not damage. That's the cracking. That's the part of you that was never meant to last, dying so the part of you that was meant to grow finally can. And there is a third image I need you to take with you. The blacksmith, the forge, the fire. A blade is not born sharp. A blade is born dull, soft, useless. It becomes a blade only through fire and hammer, heat and pressure. Strike after strike after strike, the metal screams, the sparks fly. From the metal's perspective, the blacksmith is the enemy. The fire is the enemy. The hammer is the enemy. But without all three, there is no blade. There is only a piece of forgettable metal that never became anything. Your pain is not punishment. Your pain is the forge. The thing breaking you is the thing building you if you stay long enough to be shaped instead of destroyed. Most people leave the fire too early. They mistake the heat for the end. They run before the blade is finished. Don't run, stay in the fire, let it shape you. Now think about this carefully. Every day, somewhere in this world, someone exactly like you decides they're done waiting. They don't announce it, they don't post about it, they don't have a perfect plan. They just wake up one morning and something inside them says, enough, and from that quiet enough, entire lives are rebuilt. The single mother who decided she would not raise her children in chaos. The man at 45 who realized he'd been living someone else's dream. The addict who looked at their reflection one final time. The veteran who came home and had to learn how to be a human being again. The widow who buried half of herself and chose, somehow, to keep walking. The person who lost everything and discovered, in the rubble, the foundation of who they actually were. None of them were saved. All of them saved themselves. And they didn't do it because they were special. They did it because they ran out of options. Because at some point, the pain of staying the same became greater than the pain of changing. That's the secret nobody tells you. You don't change when you see the light. You change when you feel the heat. You change when staying the same becomes more painful than the terror of becoming someone new. You know what that pain feels like, don't you? That low, constant hum of dissatisfaction. That voice you can't quite silence that says, this isn't it. This isn't the life I was meant for. You've been hearing it for a long time. And every time it gets loud, you reach for something to drown it out. Food, phone, drink, distraction, anything to make the voice quieter. But here's the thing about that voice. It is not your enemy. It is the only honest thing left inside you. It is the sound of who you were supposed to be, calling out to who you've become, begging you to come back. That voice is not weakness. That voice is not depression. That voice is the last unbroken part of you, and it has been waiting patiently for you to finally turn around and listen. There is a moment in every person's life when they have to make a choice. The choice is rarely dramatic. It rarely happens in a single instant. It usually happens in a quiet decision made on an ordinary Tuesday, the decision to stop, the decision to look, the decision to be honest about where you are and where you've been pretending you weren't, and that decision is happening for you right now, in this moment. As these words land in your chest, you can close this, you can scroll, you can go back to surviving. The world won't stop you. Nobody will hold you accountable. The story will keep going exactly the way it's been going. Another month, another year, another decade of almost, or you can decide right here, right now, that the wait is over. Not because you have a plan, not because you have the answers, not because you're sure, but because you finally accepted the one truth that changes everything. If your life is going to change, it will change because you changed it. Stop waiting to be rescued. Stop waiting to be discovered. Stop waiting to be chosen. Stop waiting to feel ready, to be inspired, to be motivated, to be worthy. You are already worthy. You were worthy the day you were born. The world just made you forget. The rescue is not coming because the rescue was never the point. The point was always you, finding out what you were made of when you finally stopped looking outside for what was always inside. Listen to me carefully. The day you stop surviving is the day you start living. Not because anything outside of you changes, but because something inside of you finally does. The deal you make with yourself is simple. I will no longer abandon me. I will no longer wait for permission to be who I am. I will no longer let fear wear the mask of patience. I will stand up, even if I'm shaking, even if I'm scared, even if I have no idea what comes next. Because the alternative is to disappear slowly, and I refuse. Hear this in the marrow of your bones. The cavalry is not on the horizon. The hero is not on the way. The phone call you've been waiting for is not going to ring. The miracle is not going to fall from the sky. The right moment is not going to arrive with a trumpet and a banner. There is no one out there. There is only you. There has only ever been you. And that is not a tragedy. That is a coronation. Because the moment you accept that nobody is coming, that is the moment you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the architect of your future. That is the moment the chains fall off. That is the moment the wait ends and the work begins. Say it with me. In your head, in your chest, in the deepest part of you that still remembers what hope feels like. Nobody is coming. And that is exactly why I will rise. Nobody is coming. And that is exactly why I will rise. Nobody is coming. And that is exactly why I will rise. So tomorrow when the alarm goes off, you won't wait. You won't hesitate. You won't bargain with the silence. You'll get up. You'll do the small, unglamorous, invisible thing that nobody will applaud. And then you'll do it again the next day, and the next, and the next. Because that is how empires are built inside a single human life, not in grand gestures. Not in viral moments, not in lightning bolts of inspiration, but in quiet, daily, almost boring decisions to stop waiting and start becoming. The man you want to be is not waiting at the finish line. He's being built, brick by brick, in every choice you make today. The woman you were meant to become is not somewhere in the future. She is being forged right now. In the fire you are standing in, you are not behind. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are exactly where every person who ever became something real had to stand first, at the edge of their own surrender, choosing not to surrender. You don't need a savior. You needed a reminder, and this is it. The rescue you've been waiting for has been you all along, standing on the other side of one decision. The decision to stop surviving, start building, stop waiting, start walking, stop disappearing, start becoming. Nobody is coming. And thank God for that, because what's coming now is you. If these words hit different today, share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more of this, subscribe to Unbroken. We drop new videos every week.